Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shows, Dutch slates, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, lotto players. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome, and let's go to the USA today, and we'll talk about the lottery system. So we have the state lottery system, and then these national lotteries and the Powerball, and all that. And of course, the basic fact is that it's legalized state-sponsored gambling, and it's really a money pit and especially for the poor. And so we know that, and we also know that ostensibly it works as a regressive tax on the poor because sales are dominated by the poor, and of course there's very little return to how many buyers. But boy, when you get into the actual numbers, it's really interesting to see what's going on here. It really compounds the tragedy. And like I say, I've discussed this with a good friend of mine, Jeff Dowdy, over the years, this whole idea about the lottery and what a waste of time and money it is, and this dream that's dangled out there, and all these people willingly giving their money away. And then the whole idea of it was clarified recently when I got an article sent to me by my good friend John Barleycorn that has numbers that are really truly staggering and really show what an incredible tragedy this is, and what these numbers say. So the basic fact is that every year Americans spend $70 billion on lottery, this empty dream. Only a handful of people ever win to an extent, and there's a lot of pretty sad stories out there about what happens to some of these lottery winners. But what an incredibly elusive dream, and yet this kind of money is poured into the lottery system. $630 per household, staggering amount of money. More than the combined sales of sports tickets, $18 billion a year, books, $14 billion a year, video games, $13 billion a year, movie box office, $11 billion a year, and music, $9 billion a year. More than the combined sales of all of that. Just amazing. And then the way the money is distributed, once the money goes to the state, 51% of each dollar goes to tax revenue, 18% pays the expenses for running the system, and then 31% goes back out towards winnings. And so the house advantage in the lottery is far higher than in normal gambling, so that makes it even more of a scam. The state is a rigged host and dealer, and so the game is rigged from the beginning, and yet people have no problem participating to a level of $70 billion a year in lottery. And 82% of our lotto sales come from just 20% of buyers. So that also tells you something, that the predominant amount of lotto sales, totally 82%, is the same 20% of buyers. Really, once again, frightening, and saying that the poor and the very poor are pouring in exorbitant amounts of money in this dream, and some desperation of getting out of poverty. And of course, statistics bear this out, that this entire lotto system, the money that goes into it, is dominated by low income. And that makes the most sense. From what I've seen, of course, the rich have no interest in this whatsoever, and understand it for what it is. And then you have middle class who dabble in it. They'll buy them once in a while. Why not? In order to, if you can't win if you don't play. And then this whole low income section of America, they're so desperate to get out of poverty, they'll spend way more than they end up spending oftentimes on utilities and food and rent and other necessities in order to pour money into this dream that will never happen. $70 billion a year on lottery. What a tragedy. And like I brought up earlier, one of the biggest tragedies about this regressive tax, this punishment of the poor, this paying for their own debt slavery, the fact that the state is part of this and running this game is really pretty disgusting. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.